Hello everyone. One of the biggest problems we have with dealing with people who we don't think like is understanding the premises they're operating from, and therefore understanding what we are to them. And this is a contentious proposal to make because it challenges our own assumptions about what people are. And I would like to put forth the proposition that conservatives, not talking about fundamentalists and not talking about mild right of center or whatever you want to call it, are not homophobic or misogynist or racist as we think of the terms. Notice that there are several other adjectives I am omitting. You can fill those in and once you've heard what I have to say, or not. Now, what I mean by this is looking at the average conservative mindset usually consists of, let me just pick 4 foundational premises. There are more or less, it could be different. Obviously, they're people, they're individuals, there are going to be differences. But I think you will see these 4 as very familiar. One is that the world has a certain logic to it. And that logic embraces the essence of things. That there is such a thing as male or female or black or white. That these things, these categories are discrete qualities in and of themselves, which can be imperfectly expressed through individuals, but are still present in. The second is that you get what you deserve. And as a corollary to that, the third point, basically, let me back up. The second one, you get what you deserve. Basically, the idea is that we each receive things in accordance with what we are. That's a very conservative idea. But if you link the first 2 things, that everything is linked together and that things interact in very, very specific ways, you can understand why conservatives are such ferociously effective environmentalists when they are persuaded to be so. Because the idea of an order that is beyond their comprehension but permeates everything is something they've been assuming for most of their lives. Okay. The third is that human beings are essentially bad. By bad, I don't mean they should be killed or wiped out, but mean, petty, evil, cheating, things like that. That is base human nature, according to them. And so these things that we consider, and by we I don't necessarily mean liberals, because I'm not really a liberal, but people who do not ascribe to this worldview and ascribe to a more humanist worldview, a more naturalist worldview, I should say, we don't see things like sex, things like anger, things like fear as necessarily bad. Rape is bad. Sex is not bad. Basically, the idea is that humans are at their nature base. and couple that in with the idea of you get what you deserve, and it is no surprise to a conservative that the majority of the world is suffering. And fourth one, and this is the one that really causes a lot of the problems when combined with the other three, if you thought it could get worse, is that the only way to redeem oneself is through persistence and hard work. And so if you succeed, you must have been doing the right thing. You must be a good person. So when we insult rich people as liberals, we are insulting who they see as possibly the most virtuous among us. And when they perform some kind of crazy hypocrisy, well, they don't see it that way. The conservatives generally don't see it the same way we do because they know human beings are bad. That's one of their ground assumptions. And what they're supposed to do is then pick up and try and move forward. And so they don't necessarily think you can be redeemed, but it is the effort to work hard and keep moving forward and struggle against your base nature. And when that causes problems for liberals and feminists and things like that, and the reason why anybody who does not ascribe to that worldview is so despised, why homosexuals are seen as so strange, is because you are seen as acting against, acting against your inner essence. Maleness, femaleness, whatever. Transgender people just drive them insane. 2, you are giving in to that part of your essence which is the most base and corrupt. And 3, when we make protestations of being, we're seeking a higher good, we're either naive or lying. So when you look at conservatives, sorry, I was checking the time, when they talk to you, see if you can find out whether one of these 4 assumptions sounds very familiar in what they're saying. And if it does, poke them on that, and if they're immovable on that, end the conversation. It's done. And remember, if I've heard many people say, well, they wouldn't let me end the conversation. No, at that point, you must take control of yourself. Because otherwise, they have already slotted you in a little box. So they can have all the fun they want arguing with some imaginary straw man. It is your life, and you only have one of them. Do not waste your time and breath. If, however, you can make a little progress, do so. Make a little connection. Make them see something that's outside of this tightly woven pattern that they've enmeshed themselves in. Because the world is really a lot more complex than that. That's it, and thank you for your time and attention.